avenge the fallen, whatever it takes. Hey everyone, how's it going? Kiyokahi Matsumoto here, presenting to you all another movie review. I am finally back. I'm ready to do one of these again, and this time around it's going to be of Avengers Endgame for my first film review of 2019. Now, before I get started on the actual review itself, I want to talk for a little bit about Stan Lee and how he personally impacted my own life and the memories that his characters allowed me to make with my friends. Now, I initially was going to do this bit on my review of Into the Spider-Verse, but thanks to my dealing with cancer and the effects it was having on my body, I was forced to kind of postpone this bit until now. So you don't have to watch this if you don't have to. But so if you're one of those people that doesn't want to do that, not to worry, I put a timestamp on screen and in the description, so if you just want to go ahead and skip to the regular review, you might want to do so right now. So Stan Lee, it's really hard to start with this, but Stan Lee really was my introduction to the world of mainstream superheroes, and even paved the way for me to become a fan of DC at some point down the line. Spider-Man with Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire was my introduction to the character, and then the Fantastic Four right after that with Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans, who is now the MCU's Captain America. And that later paved the way for me to become fans of, people along the likes of The Flash, Superman, Batman, and Nightwing. So, and if it wasn't for Stan and his creations that ended up becoming the movies that they were, I never would have made so many of the memories that I did with the close friends that I have now. And the thing that I really appreciated about Stan Lee is, even though his characters weren't ridiculously powerful like many of DC's are known for being, he still found a way to make them relatable. Like, even though they had powers, they were still your average Joe, your average person, and he had his characters solve their problems like any one of us would have. He really spoke for his fellow man, and I think that's what most of the appeal was about Stan to begin with. And he thankfully is, joining, his wife and his closest friends and co-workers in wherever he's at. Joan Lee, his wife, passed away the same day as the Spider-Man Homecoming premiere, sadly, which was July 6th, 2017. And Steve Ditko passed away, who's the other co-creator of Spider-Man, in the summer of 2018. Jack Kirby, I know, passed away several years earlier, and then we lost Stan in November of 2018. I just want to say thank you for everything and all the memories that managed to, I guess you could say, inspire me to be able to do, giving me in a more creative side and trying to tackle my problems and not back down from it. That being said, here is my honest review of Avengers Endgame, starting now. To summarize, I'm really having a hard time finding words for this one, because this was a hell of a ride. It was a visually stimulating spectacle that was eye-catching, it was entertaining, it was hilarious, heartbreaking, and it was an incredible way to wrap up an arc that has spanned 11 years and 22 films total, including this one. And I really don't think they could have done it any other way. And I like the fact that they were able to do so, bring the core Avengers arc to a close while also leaving the door open for other installments down the line. Where the direction is going to go, I have no idea, but considering that Disney has just got the rights for them to make films about the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, I'm looking forward to that one. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Scarlett Johansson return to reprise their roles as Tony Stark / Iron Man, Steve Rogers / Captain America, Thor, Bruce Banner, and Natasha Romanoff slash Black Widow, respectively, from their roles in Infinity War. Also returning from their roles in Infinity War, or the previous other Marvel films, are Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton slash Ronin, Don Cheadle as James Rhodes slash War Machine, Paul Rudd as Scott Lang slash Ant-Man, Karen Gillan as Nebula, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, and Josh Brolin as Thanos, Danai Gurira as Okoye, Gwyneth Paltrow as Virginia Pepper Potts, and newcomer Brie Larson as Carol Danvers slash Captain Marvel. Picking up where Avengers Infinity War ended, half the population in the entire universe has been erased by the Mad Titan Thanos, who accomplished his goal by bringing balance to the universe by collecting all 6 Infinity Stones and erasing half of all life with a snap of his fingers. After Tony Stark and Nebula make it back to Earth, Scott Lang, after escaping from the quantum realm, gets into contact with the rest of the team members and informs them of a possible means of time travel as a way of undoing the cataclysm and restoring everyone lost from the decimation. While initially hesitant and after some reflection, Tony eventually builds a machine that allows them to do so, and they set out, having only one shot to make this right, ending with a final brutal confrontation against Thanos and his army in a desperate clash to revive the fallen and the literal fight of their lives. Now, it honestly was hard to find a flaw with this film, but here's the catch. You have to be well versed in this shared universe of 11 years and 22 films in order to appreciate this for what it is. This is wrapping up everything that has taken place for over a decade now. So yeah, so if you're a newcomer and if you're just coming in watching this film without seeing at least half of the MCU, you're going to be completely lost. I thankfully am not put at that disadvantage, so I can review it for what it is as it is. That said, the story flowed very well, the special effects were great, the stakes felt high, the comedy was done correctly, and it wasn't as in your face or as annoying as, say, Thor Ragnarok, and the attention to details and the timeline of the film was executed very, very, very well. Like, they're remembering events and how they've taken place while also adding detail that wasn't seen in certain previous films from a different angle or a different perspective was also very nicely done. This film had so many references and so many Easter eggs, not just to films, their past films of the MCU, but also to their source material, the comics. I will not get into it for the sake of spoilers, but it was, honestly, it was the Marvel Nuts dream film, as there were so many moments that had me and my friends and many of us going, look, they did that. The posthumous cameo by Stan Lee was also a nice touch, but honestly, it wasn't as funny as his one in Infinity War. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's still very strange seeing Stan cameo in a movie knowing that he's no longer here with us. I still remember going in to see Captain Marvel and that opening credits scene where you see the Avengers and the basic clips of them all across the MCU showing on the Marvel Studios logo instead was replaced by photos and videos of Stan Lee. And as soon as I saw that, I went, "Aw, Stan." And then his cameo in Captain Marvel had a similar reaction. So it's still a little strange, but it was welcome nonetheless. Alan Silvestri returning to compose the score for Endgame, just like he did in Infinity War, was also equally welcome. Unfortunately, this film, as much as it pains me to admit this, it did have a few errors that I noticed, and here is where I have to use specifics. So if you don't want specific spoilers for certain events, either mute it or cut it off entirely, but this is where I have to get into it. The first thing I noticed is the Avengers travel back to the battle in New York. 3 of them do. Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Captain America, where they first formed up. Now, unfortunately, after a failed distraction Loki manages to escape his capture after the first Avengers movie, where they take him back to Asgard, and he escapes with the Tesseract, which houses the Space Stone. And that was never really answered in the movie. They didn't show where he ended up, how he, I'm assuming that he still ended up in Asgard as shown in Thor the Dark World, because the general timeline still didn't change. But it still, that still was an unanswered question. I mean, maybe they did that deliberately to kind of set up Tom Hiddleston's return in the future. I don't know. It just didn't get answered. It was just kind of left open, and I feel like that particular error should have gotten addressed or solved. Another thing I have to nitpick at is Nebula ends up shooting her past self in the chest in order to save a past version of Gamora. Now, it seems to kill her. That's what it looks like. I'm saying seems to because she's a cyborg. She's not completely organic. She's not completely machine. So I'm assuming she can be revived, because if she did kill herself, then as per the laws of time, her future self, the one that shot her in the first place, should cease to exist like that. It shouldn't happen. And here's the last thing I did not understand. The majority of this film is set 5 years after the decimation, which is the official name for Thanos snapping his fingers and wiping out half of all life. Now, here's the thing. After everything is said and done, it shows Peter Parker and his best friend Ned back at Midtown High. But what I don't get is, why are they still in high school? If it's 5 years into the future, unless Ned and the entire student and faculty body at Midtown High were all wiped out by the snap, they shouldn't still be in high school. They should be in college, or at least moved on. I mean, that's the only thing that makes any sense. Unless, of course, everything got canceled and put on hold indefinitely, because if half of all life got wiped out, there would be a massive staff shortage everywhere, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it was never really addressed in the movie, and thus didn't really... I just didn't understand that at all. All in all, though, despite those 3 errors, this was a spectacular way to wrap up the story arc of all the main characters we've become accustomed with, and start again with a clean slate and a new direction. Thanks to the finesse of directors Joe and Anthony Russo, they managed to top Infinity War while still making everyone laugh, cheer, shed tears, deliver proper shock value, and keep everyone on the edge of their seats for the whole 3 hours it was shown. So, based on quality, I give this film an 8.5 out of 10, but based on personal enjoyment, I would give it a 9.5. Well damn done to everyone involved. That wraps it up for my review of Avengers Endgame. I hope this answers any and all questions you may have, and if not, please feel free to shoot me a comment down below. And again, you don't have to agree with my opinions or anything. I'm just telling you what I saw and what I personally observed. If you're going to have a conversation in the comment section below, please keep it civil. I don't want to be breaking up any arguments or fights or anything like that. Thank you very much for watching. My next review will be on Disney's live-action remake of Aladdin, and I hope to see you all in the next one. So, have a great day or evening, depending on what time zone you're in. Take care, and in the words of Stan Lee himself, Excelsior!